My friend, Candace Owens is not breaking any social rule or moral boundary. No regulation is being traversed. Oh, no. She's doing the one thing that modern institutions fear most. And this is it. This is the essence of why her case and this issue is so critical. She is refusing to stop asking questions. When power tells her the conversation is over, when they say, all right, honey, that's enough, she says, oh, no. God love her. Yes. And that alone explains the intensity of the backlash, because when an official narrative is solid, it doesn't require, in fact, it never requires emotional pressure or a loyalty test or character smears or defamation or this coordinated outrage, all in order to defend it. It can survive scrutiny and analysis and evaluation and timelines and documentation and daylight and all that stuff. And when Candace Owens has consistently pointed out, is not some exotic or speculative theory, but a pattern that Americans have now seen repeat across multiple high-profile events. An event occurs, an official story is locked, almost immediately concretized. Media outlets move in near unison. Dissent is reframed as cruelty or irresponsibility or something instead of disagreement. And the public is warned that further analysis or inquiry or questioning is dangerous. It's inappropriate, it's harmful, it's immoral, it's painful, it's disrespectful. Yet in every single legitimate investigation, the opposite is true. The exact opposite. Clarity. Clarity reduces speculation. Transparency that we look for calms suspicion, and facts actually close doors that rumors pry open. And the reason that Candace's questions resonate and reverberate and do something to you where you say, yeah, is simply because they are the same questions any competent investigator would ask if their job depended on accuracy rather than optics. Questions about timelines, about who arrived when, about what security measures were in place, what protocols were or were not followed. This is what's interesting. This is fascinating. This is the story. And this is why I keep telling people. See, this is what's critical. What was done? What was ordinary? What was real? What was collected immediately? Why? Why were things done this way? Who made those decisions? Under what authority? By what authority? And whether explanations for those decisions have remained consistent over time. Because, my friend, inconsistencies, listen to me, as a former prosecutor, as a trial lawyer, I know what I'm talking about. Inconsistencies are not minor details. They are fault lines. And when the explanations shift, when officials over-explain these kind of peripheral issues, but refuse to address the central ones, the main ones, when these statements that are given contradict each other across interviews, when these weird press conferences and media events, book tours, other stuff, when documents and skepticism aren't reckless, it is rational, it is understood, it is absolutely correct. And what has fueled concern is not curiosity, but this resistance to, and I'm going to keep saying it, transparency, truth. Because whenever the response to questions becomes, this moral condemnation, this righteous indignation, that somebody's hiding something, And rather than clarification, people instinctively, almost reflectively, recognize that something's being managed. Something doesn't make any sense. Something stinks. Why are they controlling the narrative versus explaining it? And this is where Candace Owens has been deliberately mischaracterized. She's been called every name in the book. She's an anti-Semite. She's a conspiracy theorist. She's crazy. My God, is there anything else? She's a serial killer. Well, that's next. She's crazy. And as soon as I heard her being called a security, maybe that too, but a conspiracy theorist, I'm in. Oh, I'm in with that one. That's my neighborhood. They do that to me all the time, and always have been. And maybe it's personal to me. And when she's not demanding conclusions, she's demanding standards. She's not asking you or viewers or anybody for that matter to believe her. She's asking institutions to show their work. It's not about me, it's about you. And that distinction matters because in a functioning democracy, in a functioning democratic republic, which is a constitutional republic, which is we are, the burden of proof rests with the authority, not with her, not with citizens, not with us. We don't have to prove anything. Yet the modern media reflex has flipped that equation. You notice that? They tell the public to trust first and then verify never. Stop worrying about it. Quit. What do you want proof for? Trust us. Why would we lie to you? Accept early claims as final truth. Quit asking your questions. Treat evolving and developing facts as settled history. And to view, this is important, skepticism as a character flaw. There you go again, Candace. Always asking questions. Always want to know this truth. You and your truth. Huh? Think I'm exaggerating? They treat her like she's crazy rather than somebody exhibiting a civic responsibility. And this kind of inversion is exactly why people across political and cultural lines find Candace Owens to be not only courageous and interesting and brilliant, but credible. Credible even when they don't agree with her on everything else. You don't have to agree with her on everything else because she articulates a fatigue. That's a big word, fatigue. But a fatigue that's widespread. She talks about an exhaustion that we're feeling with being told that asking obvious questions is something and somehow radical, that noticing contradictions is malicious. They tell you that accountability is disrespectful. They tell you that silence is the price of being considered a good citizen, decent, a good American. That's right. Play along. Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions about Charlie or anything else for that matter. Don't ask questions. We will tell you what the facts are. You will memorize them. You will commit them to memory in this rote patellar recitation, and that's it. And the emotional lever most often pulled by these people is to enforce the idea that silence somehow is grief, which is real and deserving of respect. Don't you understand? This is about Erica. Don't ask questions. Show you no decency. They wear it like some kind of armor. Like, this protects them. When these public narratives, when public authority and public trust are all involved. Because let me tell you something. Compassion and scrutiny, believe it or not, are not opposites. They coexist. Because if you believe in Charlie, and if you believe in his legacy, and if you believe in him and other particular issues, not going by the wayside, not being subject to the United States of amnesia, as Gore Vidal calls it, you will continue. And that's why I respect her. That's it. And they're going after her left and right. Some people, some wool-capped edge doppelgangers, speak of Candace with disrespect and vile, I'm sorry, misogynistic tropes, which are a little weird. Dreaded C-word epithets, which I find particularly distasteful. Look, if you don't like her, that's fine. Don't listen to her. Your people are under no obligation to hear what she has to say. See, these things that I'm talking about, they coexist in every serious investigation. And history is full of cases where early restraint in the name of sensitivity later collapses into scandal, because you have to be ready to jump into this immediately, precisely because questions were suppressed. And you deal with them initially, not later on. When they suppress questions rather than answer them, this is why Candace Owens' message, and her critics, by the way, keep missing the point. They argue that tone instead of substance matters. Motive. What's the motivation instead of evidence? I don't care about motivation, intent, why you did something. They accuse her all the time of profiting. That's my favorite, of profiting, rather than addressing inconsistencies. Because we've got, and please, with all due respect to Erica, with all due respect, she's on all these shows plugging a book. She's assuaging and keeping the donors happy. It's all about this. Not money, this. That's an old joke. But you know what it's about. See, that's why they even want to meet with. Remember, I keep telling you again, they wanted to meet with Candace, not because this is. You think Erica wants to meet with Candace Owens? She'd probably rather have a root canal than do that. But she has to. And the idea was to tell Candace, shut up. Play along. Let's look like we're getting along, and you're going to walk away, and you agree to be a good little girl, right, Candace? You're a good little girl. This is amazing. They act, these people act as if journalists, whatever they are, and historians, lawyers, and investigators haven't always been paid to examine controversial events. I mean, this is what people do. They make money. Who works for free? What are we, missionaries? Since when does that? I mean, of all organizations, TPUSA talking about money? My God, it's a money printing machine. As if earning a living somehow invalidates the act of inquiry, which, by the way, is a transparent distraction from the fact that the simplest way to neutralize speculation is to release clear, verifiable information. And when that doesn't happen, people then reasonably infer that these institutions that we're talking about are protecting themselves rather than informing the public. And none of this requires any kind of sinister intent to understand. You know what I'm talking about. And they know you know what I'm talking about. See, these organizations instinctively manage liability, reputation, and internal cohesion. And they circle the wagons, and they have their talking points. And remember, all of them own a lot of these conservative outlets too, because their goal is to limit exposure and to control the messaging. And that instinct, as we're talking about right now, is precisely why independent oversight exists, why adversarial questioning and cross-examination exists. With us, the grand jury. This is why courts exist. This is why public records laws exist. This is why journalists are supposed to press rather than echo, to report and not repeat. And when these folks with these safeguards and guardrails fail or are completely abandoned, you know what happens? Independent voices fill the vacuum. Not because they see chaos, but because unanswered questions demand scrutiny. Think of it as demanding oxygen. And Candace's persistence, her indefatigable persistence, has highlighted a critical truth. The fastest way to destroy trust is not to admit uncertainty or error. It's to pretend that certainty exists when nothing's there, and to attempt to shame those who notice the gaps. Shame on you for pointing out the irregularities. There you go again. There you go, showing inconsistencies through inconsistent facts. Quit demanding consistency and transparency. Enforcement is what's critical. And when people are told that they must accept the narrative or the official narrative, or else be labeled dangerous or irresponsible or crazy or a conspiracy theorist or disloyal, they recognize the fact the tactic immediately because they have lived through this before. And the result is always the opposite of what the authorities and the folks in charge intend. Skepticism hardens. It's good. It's good for the soul. Audiences fragment and institutional credibility collapses further, and that's great. And that erosion isn't caused by questions. It's caused by refusal to answer, which is what they're doing. By sending out poor little Erica. Again, I feel sorry for her. Put her out there. Erica, cry. Cry. Look what you're doing to her. Look, how dare you. Can't you see what this woman's been through? Widow with her children. By the way, she's on 5 different shows pushing a book or whatever it is. She's on TV. She's answering questions, but her questions. With Barry Weiss and CBS. That's it. Don't bring up this. Just nod. Oh, nod. This is why Candace's work matters. This is why this is important. And by the way, this goes beyond this because this goes everybody else who has a refusal to follow along and to fall into line regarding other issues. This matters beyond any particular singular case. She is modeling, in essence, a posture that has been systematically discouraged by these people. The idea that citizens do not need permission to think is what we're talking about out here. That asking for clarity is not an attack. Nothing wrong with it. It's as American as apple pie. And when you demand transparency, that's not some kind of betrayal. That's loyalty. Loyalty to truth. Loyalty to the image and the memory of Charlie. And to support Candace. Full force. Full guns. Okay? This is the most important thing. We got a lot of people in the media who are nothing but phonies. They don't really like her. To her, she's just a kind of like the issue du jour. That's all. They don't understand that loyalty to truth outweighs loyalty to any group or organization or political party or candidate, any narrative or brand, and the call to action is very simple and unavoidable. Do not let emotional pressure replace evidence. Do not let this, what would you call it, this moral scolding replace documentation and evidence. Demand timelines, demand records, demand consistency, demand. You have a right to do it. Support voices, all of us, willing to ask uncomfortable questions. Support Candace. Support us. Support you. Support those of us who say we want the truth. And whoever exhibits the truth, whoever shows an inclination to follow the truth, we're with them. Refuse to surrender your common sense to anyone. To anyone who tells you that silence is virtue and obeisance and obedience. Oh, that's wisdom. Be good. Be quiet. We're not going to do this. You have to understand this. You must forgive me. For a very long time now, I got involved in talk radio. And I tell you this so that you understand this. In 1988. And I've been through this before. I've seen this. And everything was fine. We only had, a couple of stations and networks and the newspaper. And then the internet blew up. And the truth seekers. They even called us truthers, especially after 9/11. They called us truthers. Can you believe that? They made fun of telling the truth. They called us a truther. Yeah, what's wrong with that? You and your truth. That's what set me off. 9/11 was my red pill. And everything they're saying to Candace, they told me and everybody else in that matter. And Alex Jones, who still is the Mac Daddy, the paterfamilias, he has been involved in this. And we may not always agree on everything. He may like this, but not Candace on this. And you got a lot of characters. You got the Megyn Kellys and this one and that. And there's plenty of room for all kinds of people. That's fine. I don't follow individuals. I'm not a fan club. I follow the truth. My only obligation is to the truth. That's it. And whoever says it, great. So stand behind Candace. Don't listen to this nonsense. There's people who love to drive people crazy. Look, say what you want about President Trump, but you know what he stands for. You know what he stands for. People want to hear somebody who's legitimate, somebody that you can believe, somebody who is authentic. He's as authentic as you can get. Sometimes authentic, becomes a problem, but that's okay. I'll take that over phony any day. There's a lot of nice, polite people out there who don't do anything. They don't lift a finger for truth. My friends, I thank you. Do me the honor. The honor, by the way, thank you for your incredibly great comments. I appreciate them so much. Like I told you before, I normally I don't read comments because they're brutal, they're terrible. But these have been delightful. It's not about me, but it's about us. It's about our mission. This is not personal. This is about a bigger cause. And invite people to this. Please like this video. Subscribe to our network. Subscribe to our family, to the conspiratorium, to the brothers and sisters, all of us who are a part of this royal and glorious coalition of truth seekers. That's all we are. That's it. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. I've got some questions for you to answer. Go into the comment section. I've got some questions for you to pick and select. I'm always going to be reading your comments. I thank you again for that. And now I ask you very, very calmly and politely and respectfully to comment as you see fit.